goes home, I will feel a glow just thinking of you and the way you look tonight. You're lovely with your smile so warm and your cheeks so soft. There is nothing for me but to love you, just the way you look tonight. Whoa, whoa, whoa. With each word, your tenderness grows, tearing my fears apart. Your nose touches my foolish heart. You're lovely and never, never change. Keep that breathless charm. Won't you please arrange it? 'Cause I love you just the way tonight, the way you look tonight.
against the Blue Cedar High School. They experienced the assassination of JFK and Martin Luther King. While they were in high school, the war in Vietnam escalated, and the continued presence of American troops increased to 475,000. Many of the class members went to Vietnam after high school. The Beatles were popular, and the famous Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was released their senior year. They grooved to the music of the Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, and the Byrds. The average cost of a new home was $14,250, and gas was 33 cents a gallon. Movie tickets were 60 cents, and you could buy a burger, fries, and a drink for less than $1. Bringing in the game ball tonight are three members of that class: Brian Wood, an all-state football player, Golden Hopper, an all-Wheaton football player, and the 1967 homecoming queen, Lori Leigh Myers. Ladies and gentlemen, again, the class of 1967 presenting the game ball.
Guess I'm going to the bathroom. There it is. That'll make the tackles interesting.
Yeah, you can get away with that here. Just the ground's hard enough.
I'm starting it off. Okay, Mike Petty. Good to see everybody here. Those of you that are viewing this obviously probably didn't make it. So I feel bad if you aren't here. Have lived in South Jordan and just actually moved down to Parowan. My wife and I, of 2 years, got remarried to Marcia Mitchell. Many of you would know her. We dated when we were younger, so we're very happy and built a home in Parowan. I'll be retiring in a couple of years. I work for the High School Activities Association in Salt Lake, and loving life right now. So I'm sorry that you're not here. And good luck.
Watch it. Shortly after high school, I got a letter in the mail that says, "Your friends and neighbors have selected you to join the Army." And I'm sure it was none of you friends and neighbors that did that. So my wife and I live in Vancouver, Washington. I retired a couple of years ago from Kaiser Permanente. I did anesthesia for them for about 23, 24 years. 8 kids. Yeah, we've been busy. The first 5 are ours, 4 boys and a daughter, and then we adopted 3 girls, so we got 4 and 4. And my wife used to complain about being the only woman in a house full of boys, and then we got the girls, and I was the only guy in a house full of girls. And, but it's all been fun. We continue to enjoy the ride. It's been a good life.
The reason he had a good time is because he's so troublesome. I'm Belinda Stapley Lobb. I left here when I was right out of high school, went to school, got married. I was married for 38 years and I couldn't stand him any longer. I left as soon as my kids left, and I come to Cedar to take care of my parents, and I met the love of my life. Today is our 5th anniversary, and I am so happy. We have 7 children, and 17 grandchildren, and 1 on the way. And I just want you to know that I am so happy.
Over here, this is the school teacher. Let's get everybody back up. I'm Barry Whitaker. I taught school. I left here and went to Timpview High School and taught biology and zoology for about 30 years. Retired. Went and started with some people in charter school and Spanish Fork American Leadership Academy. And this will be my last year teaching. I'm finally going to retire, get out, and go play with my horses. I've had horses since I've left. I play golf. I've got 4 boys. I still have 1 at home. He's 17. Anybody still got kids at home? we enjoy playing golf and everything. Just had a great time here. It was really fun to go to the game last night, just sit around and talk to everybody, and enjoyed seeing everybody. I can't believe that it's been this long, and we all look the same. So,
Right.
You need glasses.
everybody, even Fred.
Blaine Johnson, fella, Art, whatever. Called me all kinds of things when I was in high school, some not so hot. We live in Washington right now, one down the street a little bit, on I-15. I still have a little bit of a medical practice. I go to California once a month to see injured workers, and then I write reports the rest of the month. So it's a boring life at that point with regard to my occupation. But we have 5 kids, 9 grandchildren, 1 on the way, and 4 of our children are married. 4 daughters, all 4 of our daughters are married. Our youngest son, our only son, is 22, 23 next month, and going to be, he's working in Salt Lake. So that's the short of it right there. Nice, and I really have enjoyed visiting with each and every one of you. It's so good to renew acquaintances and to see familiar faces. And I realize that of all of the acquaintances that I have had in all of my life, very most special are right here in this room.
Smith, went in the Navy after high school because Miss Rigby told me that she had a perfectly good job for me. And I decided I didn't want to take her job, so I went in the Navy, come home from Vietnam, went to school out here, got an engineering degree, and I do security analysis now for a conglomerate of schools.
Test. Brian Wood. I married up. I had to stay out of trouble with his principal at the high school, so I married his daughter. Been married for 40 years. Is it 40 years? 40 years.
Long
A long time. Long, wonderful. We have 5 children. I have a CPA office in Las Vegas. For the last 25 years, I've been in and out of businesses. I've been fired. I've been started my own business. Been involved in many, many things. Taught to classes all over the world. Been internal audit. Work with my son now down in Las Vegas. We have 6 grandchildren. What have I forgotten, Jennifer? You're better than this than I am. It's good to see you all. Thanks.
Tell me to stand up because I already am. I'm Danny Cowan. Judy, you got a good clientele coming up. If you do geriatrics, we'll be in touch, okay? Okay. I found out last night that there was a road out of Cedar City. I didn't know that. I thought you had to stay here. I've been here all my life. I've even lived on the same block most of my life. I married Barbara White, Cowan. We've been married 42 years. We have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. One that's 18 months and one that's 5 years. Our son's full-time military. His wife's a nurse. My daughter works for the school district as an aide, and her husband works in landscaping. I work for the school district also. I'm director of transportation for the school district. For the last 15 years, I worked for Tinks. I managed Tinks stores for 22 years before I went with the district. I graduated from SUU with a bachelor's degree in teaching and never did teach. So, just one not bragging, it's just the kind of school district it is. We were selected as one of the top 10 transportation departments in the nation a few years back. And that's just a tribute to the district and the people that are there. But it's been great. I don't like reunions a whole bunch. In fact, the last reunion, I had my son pick that day to be married so that I didn't have to come. And that was the truth. He was married that day, and that's the reason I wasn't there. But I promise I'll come again because I've enjoyed it. Enjoyed getting acquainted with you guys again and working with the committee. It's been fun. Thanks.
I'm Danny Walker. How about now?
Yell it. You have to yell.
Hi, I'm Danny Walker. I moved from Portland, Oregon to Mesquite, Nevada just recently. I retired from Portland, Multnomah County Sheriff's Department. I lived in Portland from '81 till June. So it was good to see all of you folks, and I hope to see you next in 5 years.
I think I'm still David Morris. Graduated from BYU after attending Cedar High. Married love of my life. I brought her my favorite wife's with me today, Leslie. And we have 4 children and 9 grandchildren. And I ended up, do you ever remember a yearbook where my dad had an ad saying, "Bye from Dad, today will be tomorrow"? I was just fuming mad at that. There's no way in hell that I am ever going to be in the automobile business. Well, I got up to BYU and looking for a way to make a living and went to work for Harmon's Pontiac Cadillac there, and a guy by the name of Bud Harmon convinced me that practicing dentistry was the world's worst thing to do, that looking at people's mouths all day long. He says, "You're a fool not to go back and get into business with your dad." So that's what I've spent my life doing. That, and I love to hike. I've hiked the Zion Narrows probably, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 times, and all the hikes in Zion, and always love getting in the outdoors and spending some time doing that. Good to be with you.
Dave Farnsworth. We live in Centerville, Utah. We've lived in Illinois and Missouri and California.
Somebody coming next.
It's just wonderful to be back. Glad to see Gordon finally getting out of his shell. This is a great experience to be with you. We have 5 children, 9 grandchildren, and 1 in the oven due day after tomorrow. So it's just great to be back to see her. We're planning to do some hikes next week down here. I just love this area. Love seeing all of you. We just feel like we've had a great blessing being raised in this wonderful community and surrounded by such good people. Thanks so much.
My name is Dennis Rowley. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. It's been a lot of years. Many of you I have not seen since we graduated. And so this has been a great pleasure. I found out one great truth, that the people that I looked at and looked up to or looked down on, and there were some of you that fell into that latter category that I just didn't see how you'd make it another year past graduation.
Brian.
And some of you persecuted me that way. It is so gratifying to see that we, and I include myself in that, grew up and matured into kind, loving people. One of the things I think most of you would agree with me, that as we've gotten older, we get much more sentimental. And I find I cry a whole lot easier now than I used to. And I don't apologize for that. It has been a great pleasure to be here with you and to get to meet you again and to share that love that we developed many years ago. And we didn't know it at the time in a lot of cases. I married a Dixie Flyer, and I can be forgiven for that in this life. We have 6 children and 18 grandchildren. We lived here in Cedar for a while and then moved to West Bountiful, moved from West Bountiful back to Cedar, we were in St. George between that time. I spent 9 years in the radio business, I sold real estate. I had my own advertising agency here in Cedar City for several years. And then I got involved with computers and worked for the health department. Moved to Las Vegas and spent 10 years there in computer-related businesses of one sort or another. Decided that if I ever wanted to do what I dreamed of doing for my entire life, I was going to do it then, and we bought a radio station in Northwest Missouri. Actually, 2 radio stations, AM and FM. Small town, and I was going to make it just like KSUB and do many of the things that we used to do at KSUB. Didn't work out. It was a financial disaster as far as I was concerned. We thought it was going to be our retirement. But it was a wonderful experience. And out of that, we gained a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law. And as my wife likes to point out, most of our grandkids come from those 2 marriages. So it was a great opportunity. We then moved back to Las Vegas and have been there for 11 years. I work for a software company that writes software for casinos that help them manage their paperwork and audit their paperwork that they have to do for compliance purposes. So that gives me an opportunity to travel a little bit across the country. We are so glad to have been here and look forward to future reunions, and are so appreciative of Gordon and the other members of the committee that have brought us together, and hope we can bring more of us together.
I'm Don Gilbreth. I'm a dentist in Las Vegas. I'm unlike Dave. I think looking in the mouth wasn't such a bad idea. There were other places to look that weren't near as appealing. So, have 4 children. Had our 12th grandchild yesterday morning. Still practicing. Haven't been able to find a way to retire yet. Looking forward to getting back up this way. I kept the family home here in the Cedar, so I get up about once a month, and would certainly like to see more of the local people that don't like to come out. So maybe we ought to each try to work on somebody to get some of those that live here that don't want to come out. And there are certainly a lot of very good friends, and I feel very blessed to have been raised here. I think when you get out and away from Cedar City, you really have a much greater appreciation for Cedar City and for the opportunities that it gave each one of us. And I would like to meet, be reacquainted with a lot more of the friends that are still in this area that just don't want to come out. So for those that live here and can see people on a daily basis or what, encourage them to come next time so that we might be able to get to know them a little bit better.
Hi, my name's Donnie Hunter.
We should just make
I'm a lucky guy. I've been able to live in Cedar City my whole life. I work for Rocky Mountain Power. Enjoy my work. I also enjoy a little bit of fishing and hunting, like the mountains, always have. Got 4 kids, 10 grandkids, and my grandkids are great fishermen. We have a good time. My wife May and I like the mountain. We've got a cabin and a trailer there. We spend all the time we can. And I really hate to admit it, but I've gained 5 pounds.
And it's with me forever. I graduated from university here. I met my husband.
We don't know any Elaine Johnson.
Oh, Elaine Perry. I met my husband while skiing up on Bryan Head, and we went to San Juan County to teach school. We were just going to stay there for 1 year. 39 years later, we evolved from out of the swamp and migrated back over to Cedar City. We have 5 children and 13 grandchildren. I have one son that's a PA here in the pain clinic, and I'm sure you'll all be meeting him. He's nice. You'll like him.
I think I could do it, didn't I? I'm sorry, I apologize.
That was cool.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Fred Adam. Used to be Fred Livermore, but I wore that one out, had to get a new one in high school, so my stepdad adopted me and my younger brother.
I went to school, but I'm not sure it was this building. It doesn't look anything like it was when we tore it up. It's real different. I'm tickled to be here and see all the old faces who helped me get through this school. I don't think I passed a class. I either ate the books or hit somebody with them. But this has just been very special being here. In fact, watching the pictures of the kids that we missed, I got to tell you, it was hard for me to not let you see the old boy cry right in front of you, because I miss those kids. And this has been a treat. I haven't missed one of these since we've had these, and it's always a real honor for me to come back and renew old acquaintances, people you don't get to see, but you know, all the faces are just, it's so warm to see friends, and this is special to me, very special. I left here, and I don't know where I went. I ended up in Las Vegas, and I worked as a street cleaner down there for 31 years for the city of Las Vegas at County of Clark, and I did 22 of those 31 years in the SWAT section, and I have to apologize. Mike Petty and his wife's not here. We was talking last night, and I was talking about sending bullets through people's to shut their motors down so they couldn't, suspects couldn't harm their victims and stuff. And I think poor little Marcia about threw her ice cream up, so my wife nudges me, and okay, I'm getting off it, so I have to apologize for that. But you've seen a lot of things, a lot of rough things, and so coming back here is very heartwarming to me. My dear wife is from Parowan. Skinny little blonde thing I'm sitting with there. I never chased girls over in Parowan when I was in high school because I had 5 female cousins over there that would have ratted on me to their dad, and he'd have whipped me really bad, and then I'd come home, my own dad would whip me again. So I stayed out of Parowan, kind of went to Dixie a little bit. But her and I have been together 11 years. We have 16 grandchildren. She puts up with me, and she can cook, as you can tell. So I've had a real good life, and I've only been bitten, punched, I've been shot once. Somebody tried to stab me once, and now I talk everybody into surrender.
Short cord. That's short leash. I'm used to that. I'm Garth Green. We live in Cedar City. There are quite a few of us here that are in Cedar City. Can anybody beat 19 grandchildren?
We will.
You will? We'll win. I have one in the oven.
So
you beat 19 and one in the oven?
Our 19 is in the oven.
We win, dear.
You win?
No, we don't win. You got more? Okay. I was going to text my kids and tell them thanks. We're Cedar City. I did leave for a short time, 10 years. Wendy and I did. Wendy and I have 5 children. And if our daughter keeps going, we're cheering her on. We think we're going to have 25. She's got 7, and she said, I don't think she's done. So she'll be glad to hear that. I worked as a banker, and then I started a little plumbing supply company here in town, and then retired 6 years ago. I actually went on a couple of missions, did one in live at home. This is strange. Live at home, but worked in Kenya and Uganda and Africa, went back and forth. I was fun doing water project, in Wales, bringing clean water for the church. And then we did one in Europe where I taught self-employment classes in England. We lived in England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Spain, Portugal, and Italy. So that you can get one like that. I'd go on another mission, but I don't think they'd ever let me have that much fun again. But that's where we're at. We're here, and we're glad. It's fun to see you all, and we did. I think we missed the last one, but we tried to hit most of the reunions. But it's great to see you all and be associated with you.
I'm Gary Gulliver. Maybe I am. See you. Closer?
Yeah.
Okay, you got contact. Gary Gulliver. I went to school here for, well, it had to be 5 years because, well, actually it's 3 years here because I had to stay an extra year because I had such a good time during spring quarter of my freshman year. Had to make it up before I went to Utah State. Graduated up there and then got drafted shortly after that. And Jeannie and I got married in January of 1976, and went to basic training. We went to Alaska, great time. Couldn't even believe it was the Army. And then he came back, went back to school, started working at Thiokol, 16 years Thiokol, and then went to ATK, that's ATK, and then TRW, Teal Air Force Base. Been doing the same thing ever since. Different companies, same job, same people for 19 years, but it's been 3 different companies. And we have 2 daughters, and then the oldest daughter has a son and a daughter, and the younger daughter has 2 daughters, and that's it. We only get 4. Well done. Any questions? Except for Susan. Oh, didn't you designate that Craig Cochran's going to be in charge of the next class reunion?
When I graduated from high school, I think I graduated with honors, but I can't remember for sure. That was a long time ago. I went to Southern Utah University in the pre-med program. I wanted to be a doctor, but I had the opportunity to go to Bryce Canyon to work as a ranger, and I fell in love with being a ranger. So I spent 38 years with the National Park and the State Park as a ranger. I retired in 2005 as the Deputy Director of Utah State Park System. I have my lovely wife Joanne, who I also owe to Bryce Canyon because I met her there. And one thing that's sort of interesting about that is some of you probably remember that Maxine Daly and I were a bit of an item first part of high school. Well, I'm married to Maxine's husband's sister, as life would work out. We have 5 kids, all with families of their own. We have 18 grandchildren, 1 in the oven, and 1 on the drawing board, 1 being planned. We'll have 20.
Is that a grandchild or a child?
Well, I'm the child.
Grandchild.
I have to be. After I retired, I went into politics on a weak moment, and I served in city council of the small town of Monroe, Utah, where I live, and now I'm serving as a county commissioner in Sevier County. I just finished my first term, and nobody ran against me for a second term, so I guess I'll I'll be a commissioner for another term.
I'm Greg Flowert. Donnie, I gained 5 pounds too. Let's see. After I graduated down here in Cedar, went up to Logan to school with Gary Gulliford, and Dave Myers and I both graduated from the same graduate program. We went in and learned how to design sewage treatment plants. I did that for 3 or 4 years as an engineer, and then as soon as I was able to get my professional engineer's license, I quit the company I was with. I was too ornery to work for anybody else, and in '76 I opened my own engineering firm and been doing that ever since. Spent the first 8 or 9 or 10 years designing sewage treatment plants and things like that, and then fell into a really fun water features project over in Hawaii. And if you've ever been over to the Hilton Waikoloa on the Big Island, that was kind of the first project we ever did where we did all the pools and the dolphin exhibits and the boat rides and all those kinds of things. And after that, we started doing water features. And for since the mid-'80s, we've been designing major water parks, aquariums, theme park water rides and stuff all over the world. Projects, you've seen the ads for Atlantis in the Bahamas. That's one of our projects. A lot of the hotels in Las Vegas. All of the water parks on Disney cruise ships and on Carnival cruise ships are some of our projects. Jurassic Park rides at Universal Studios. In fact, all of the water rides at Universal Studios. A lot of Disney projects. We're doing 26 water parks in China right now. And those are the things that we've been doing. So having lots of fun doing fun water, and it's a whole lot better than doing sewage treatment plants. I married Jane Jorgensen from Gunnison a gazillion years ago. We have 8 kids, and yeah, Garth, we got a couple more grandkids than you do. We're number 31 here next month.
Wow.
And
Keep designing water parks.
our youngest son got married last year, so we'll probably get a few more. They don't have any yet, but we have a lot of fun. It's fun being here with all of you. It's fun to see how far this class has spread across the world.
My name is Jan Jones Dimmick. A little earlier, Roy was reminding me of how mean he and Brian Wood were.
Who reminded you of that?
I remember when you guys used to chase us through the college on the way home from school, and we were just scared, right, Carolyn and Lori?
That's not true.
And I remember when David Farnsworth pulled me into the boys' restroom, and I thought I was... But I want you to know that that was all for a good cause, because I raised 4 of the meanest boys you can imagine, and they couldn't do anything that hadn't surprised me, that I hadn't been trained in. I married my husband, David Dimmick, that we met at BYU, and we've been wandering around the West. We lived in the Bay Area, and we lived in Denver, and lastly in Austin, Texas. We want you to know Austin, Texas is the biggest state. Everything's bigger and better in Texas. My husband recently retired, and we just sold our house in Texas. We're building a house in Salt Lake. We're presently homeless, so if any of you have any spare bedrooms, think of us.
My name's
Thank
Larry
you.
Wooden. I sort of feel like an interloper, but I came to Cedar City in 1962 and joined you guys, and I realize now that this is where I've learned how to be part of a community. And I was absolutely amazed at how many people I knew, but I left you in my sophomore year, the first year we were here. I was just so amazed by this building. I guess I just wandered around, never went to class. And,
A lot of us did the same.
Well, but somebody had the wisdom to send me to Colorado and get me out of here. And I decided I wanted to be part of the class of 67 there. And I did graduate with 57 other people. I was the 57th person, I'm sure. But I came back to Cedar and went to college here and met a woman from Wichita, Kansas, and we were married. In fact, I was over at the Alumni Association building and walked in there, and that's exactly where we were married in '69. And she and I were married for 20 years, and she'd had enough. And then I married another woman, and we were married for 20 years. So, people can only stand me for 20 years. I really enjoyed being here, and I realized that this is home. It always has been home. My mother lived here and is buried here, and so I've been building. I'm a bodybuilder, actually, and I happen to work for the world's largest bodybuilder. We build fuselages for Boeing and Airbus and everything like that. And I've been doing that. I started that because I left WSU, I left the college. It's easier. In '72, went to California so I could drink. And then, because I grew up here, I was not a Mormon, moved to Colorado, joined the church, the Mormon church. I have since, they've since realized that it was better that I not be a Mormon, but that's okay.
You could drink in Colorado as a Mormon.
Well, that was the problem. I turned 18 and I could remember. I
I was a real strong member of the church, and I couldn't drink, but I was really upset. I think that's probably enough out of me.
I'm John Meisel, and we live in Richfield. I married Sherry Chamberlain, and she said she wasn't coming up. We got married in 1969. I'm glad to be a part of the class of 67. The only problem was I was supposed to be the class of 65. And, I still hate Mr. Beathers and Mr. Bishop, but that's another story. I said to Sherry before we came, we have 4 daughters. I said to Sherry before we came, it'll be interesting to see who buttoned their shirt wrong and who has their fly open. And she says, that's the way you were last week. We have 9 grandchildren, and we live in Richfield. We've lived there since we left. I graduated from SUSC at the time, went into social work, and I've been a social worker over to Richfield for 15 years about, and I changed tracks and went into administration, and got tired of working with crazy people and went to work with crazy administrators. And we've enjoyed it. We're both retired. I retired after 33 years, and Sherry retired after 30 years. She worked for the Department of Human Services as well, working in foster care eligibility. And it's great to see all of you, and I'm sure glad you had name tags. This ought to have been lost, but anyway,
I probably so quiet in high school that nobody ever remembers me or can remember what I was like.
Say your name again. I didn't have the camera
John
on.
Oldroyd. And I moved to California about 3 days after graduation. I was drafted into the Army. They made me an MP, and so when I came out of the Army, I became an officer in Southern California, and eventually ended up retiring from the Anaheim Police Department with a fun career. I have 3 children, 3 grandchildren, and 1 wife.
I'm Judy Hickman. I'm married to John Hickman. I love Jimmy Bullock. And I've been married so long I forgot what my maiden name was. John and I have been married 43 years, and he still comes home at night. Which I'm quite surprised at sometimes. He was a truck driver for 38 years, so I stayed home and took care of the kids. I've been blessed to live in Cedar City all my life. We have 3 children. Our oldest lives in Las Vegas, 3 boys. Middle one is in Springdale with my 4 granddaughters, and they are beautiful. And I love being a grandma. And my youngest is in Vernal, and he and his wife, I hope, are working on my 4th grandchild. Not that I'm pushing or anything, but time's wasting here. I became Mrs. Meisel. For everybody that went to North Elementary, Mrs. Meisel was a school secretary. I am the school secretary at Three Peaks Elementary. I've worked for the Iron County School District for 26 years. I love it. It's the best job in the world. I love all the kids. The kids in my school are just tremendous. They're great little kids. The teachers are super. My principal's super. Everybody I work with super. Even Kent. I love Mr. Kent Peterson back there. And the only ones that get on my nerves are sometimes the parents. Some of them are really hard to deal with. I would like to use a cattle prod some days. Some of the things they do to their kids really gets on my nerves. But I'm so grateful to see all of you. You all look wonderful. And I agree with Fella. This is the best place in the world to be. And I'm so glad that I know all of you and that I love all of you. Thanks so much, everybody.
I've just lived here my whole life. I haven't gone anywhere. Been on a few vacations now and then. Have 6 children. 3 are married. Have 3 bachelor sons. So if anybody's got some good-looking girls around. And 12 grandchildren. My husband and I are proud of the fact that we were able to hike Kilimanjaro, and that was really an exciting experience for us. And I'm an RN here at the hospital, and that's about it for me.
Many of you are surprised that Dave and I are still married after 45 years, and we have 5 children and 17 grandchildren and 1 more on the way. And Dave has kind of taken me all over the state of Utah and into Nevada 1 year. When we were in Nevada, we were sitting in church one day, and a guy was sitting in front of us. And I looked at his ring, and I thought, that looks like a Cedar High class ring. And it was Fred Adams serving his mission. And I was just amazed. But it was fun. But yeah, I was amazed you were there, and me.
But they fed us. So
But they fed us. Anyway, we've had a great time. We spent 21 years in Salt Lake, and I was the secretary for Jordan School District in the warehouse for those years. And then we wanted to come back home, but not in Cedar. We wanted to go where it didn't snow, so we went to St. George. And we like it down there, much to my surprise, but I do. And right now I do a lot of geriatrics care. My mother and father are 90 and 91. And Dave's mom is 86, is that right? And she lived with us for 4 years, and now she's in assisted living. So between the geriatrics and my grandchildren, I'm very busy, and I'm so glad to be here and see all of you, and I'm glad we have name tags, so I can recognize you. See ya.
I live in Farmington, New Mexico. I've got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. I've got 4 grandchildren, and one on the way in March. And it's good to see all you guys. I haven't seen a lot of you for 40+ years. Some I can recognize, and some I can't, but it's sure great to see y'all.
I can tell you, I talked to Craig a day or 2 ago, and he feels the same, I believe. Yeah. Kendall Cripps. I married Judy Wade, and we've been married most of my life. We have 2 daughters and 3 granddaughters. I work for Rocky Mountain Power, and one of these days I'm going to retire. Can't decide which spring it's going to be. But we enjoy the mountains, and we've got a place on the mountain we spend a lot of time. And Stephanie mentioned that they have a mini class reunion. Gary, Donnie, LJ, and Lenny and I frequently get together since Sandpile, and we still talk about the things we can't do. It's been I've here in Cedar my whole life, so it's been good.
Ken Peterson. It's been kind of fun. Fred said he thought he came to the wrong place. I worked for the school district for 38 years as the business administrator. So it's been kind of fun to have a hand in some of the changes that have taken place here. This building has been a great project. Judy and I talked a little bit about it, and it's been fun to watch. I've lived in Cedar my whole life, obviously. We have 4 children, 5 grandchildren. Love it here. I just knew this was the place I would always live. Just wanted to say how much I appreciate all of you. I was talking to one of our classmates who won't come. He lives here in Cedar City. He won't come to the reunion. And I said, why not? And he said, well, I didn't have a good time in high school. It wasn't my favorite thing. It was my favorite thing. I told several people last night, high school was the best thing for me, and it's because of you.
I don't know what attracted me to you, Rick, but Rick Perry was my first friend in Cedar City. I moved here when I was in 2nd grade, and I'd had a real bad first grade experience, and I must have been still shell-shocked, but he took me under his arm and showed me the ropes.
of the East Elementary. And believe me, there were a few ropes over there. But he's been my best friend ever since, and until I married my wife, that is. And we married 40 years ago, my wife and I. She's a Salt Lake girl who came down to southern Utah for school. And I went to University of Utah for school, but my dad had to have knee surgery, and I ran the Arctic Circle for a year and met my wife at the same time. So I was really happy that he had to have knee surgery. Now I have to. But I am grateful to have been a graduate of Cedar City High School. I have some of my greatest friends who are still are in this room, and I love you. I've always thought we had the best class that I had ever seen come through Cedar City High School. I know the one ahead of us wasn't nearly as good as ours, and the one behind us wasn't either. But I really did believe that we had a great class, because there were a lot of groups of folks, but we all were together still. And I think this is the most united class that I've ever seen in a high school situation. And to this day, we have good reunions. And you know, I just want to say one thing about Danny Webster. I think he was one of the glue guys of our class, because who didn't like Danny Webster? And he was a friend of all of us. And it was people like that really held this class together. And I really appreciate that about him, and about a lot of you too, because I really do feel like I graduated from the best class ever from Cedar City High School. And I want to thank you for that. Just to give you a little background on me, I graduated from Southern Utah University, went to Utah State, got a master's degree. I'm like Greg. I worked for a company for about 2 years, and other than that, I've been in business for myself. I guess I don't like to be somebody else's employee, but I've enjoyed it. And we're in Oklahoma. We've been there for 30 years, and Oklahoma's been very good to us. And we have 4 children, and they're all well educated and have good careers, and we have 11 grandchildren and one on the way, and we're real happy to be there, but we're happy to come back and see you all too. And my goal was to be here 5 years from now for my 50th anniversary. That's always been on my bucket list of things to do, is come back for my 50th. And that's it. I think I'm the last one here, so this is the end of the line for us as far as our little blurbs are concerned. But thank you very much.
Larry Negley. After graduation, started attending CSU. I think it was CSU back then, wasn't it? Might have been SUSC. I changed so many times.
I think it was BAC.
Yeah. Well, I think they tore down my house and put up a parking lot. Anyway. Joined the Army halls and college, because if you were attending college when you joined, you could get up to a 30-day early out. And I knew where the last year would be, so I thought 30 days out really would be a good idea. I did survive that, obviously. Came back, bought a '69 Mustang Mach 1 to celebrate. That was great. Still have the car today. Met my wife Virginia on a blind date. We've been married 40 years in November.
She was blind?
Yeah. For me. Yes. That was Garth and Wendy's fault, but it worked out real well. 4 children, 6 grandchildren. Spent 30 plus years in the construction business. Tried to take the kids around town and show them all the houses I built one time and gave up. The memory's gone. But anyway, I'm with everybody that's said what a great class we have. I really appreciate those that took the time and spent the money to come back to this reunion. And some of you traveled long ways, and it's really good to see you. Great bunch. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lenny Olson. Moved away to Arizona about 22 years ago. Before that, I stayed in Cedar City. I married up to, but a lot younger. My wife's 8 years younger, so she was about in the 3rd grade while we was in high school. Most of you wouldn't know her. Before I retire, I'd like her to get a paper route so then I can retire, along with her full-time job. We have 4 kids, 3 grandkids, and kids are scattered out all over. I still like to play golf. Still do that 1 day a week or more if I can. And just enjoy life.
My name is Louis Dober. Did I pull it out?
There we go.
Louis Dober. I went to college here, graduated, started teaching school, also went to Utah State, graduated there. Taught school 25 years, including right here at Cedar High School. Graduated, or retired, about 10 years ago. I married Chester Whitelaw's daughter, if you remember him from middle school. At that time, he had a bad habit called farming. You may not have known this about Chester Whitelaw, but he was actually a major in the Air Force. And when he got out of the Air Force, he didn't like taking orders, so he decided he'd work for himself and started a farm out of the sagebrush out in Burrow. And then found out that didn't pay, so he had to teach school to support it, which is basically what I wound up doing, is teaching school to support a farm, which I'm doing now. And people say, what do you raise? And I say, alfalfa, and they say, do you bale? I say, no, you cube it. And they say, what's a cube? So I brought a show and tell. 25 million of those. And those right there will be going to Japan. And we have 7 children, 2 in the military. We have 12 grandchildren. And I don't think I'm ever going to get to retire.
Anyway, I'm married Mary Kay Matheson. Been married to her for 40 years, I believe. We have 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. I'm retired. I retired from the Mountain States Telephone Company, which used to be Mountain Vale. And by the time I got through there, with 31 years, it was Quest Communications. So, you know, I retired from there, and now I'm working part-time for Mortuary in St. George. And really enjoying being part-time retired and part-time working. It's really a flexible thing to be. So, anyway, it's good to see y'all. I'm happy to be here.
I'm Lori Lane Myers. I married David Myers, who a lot of you will know. I do remember John Oldroyd. You said you didn't talk very much. I don't know whether you all remember me, but if you do, you remember that I talked a lot. And I still do, right, Dave? It's gone right up. We moved to Idaho, and I graduated from Boise State, which some of you may have heard has had a really good football team. I taught English at Capitol High School, and we have 3 children, 4 grandsons. And we're both retired, and we have a lot of fun, and we don't accomplish very much. But it's great to see you all. I hope we can keep this up. So, nice to see you.
I'm Margaret Wade Miller. I've lived in Cedar my whole life, and I'm incredibly boring, and I don't take questions.
She's a judge, you don't need to ask a question.
I'm just going to pretend that all of you are in orange and you're called the pumpkin patch, and I don't have to listen or respond.
You know exactly what happened with Danny in Silicon Valley was going on to see what happened then. Why don't you share that with us when you're done?
Okay, I will. Can I tell my personal stuff first? Because then I'll start crying and I'll sound like it's kind of the difference between a dolphin and a seal, so I'll apologize for that.
I'm married to Jack Miller. We've been married for a long, long time. We have 2 boys, 7 grandchildren. They're just the best. Well, the kids are a little questionable, but the grandkids are wonderful. I have worked for the justice system in this county for 39 years, and that could change. It's subject to change without notice. The way their judges are dropping like flies in the state of Utah. You'll probably see me on the news. I probably swore or said something bad, or I don't know, throwing a cell phone. Who knows? But I love all of you guys, and I love reunions, and it's so fun to come back and see all of you. And to meet you on the street, I act like an idiot. I can see Kent 2 or 3 times in a week, and then
Professionally?
it's just so...
Is it professionally that you say?
Yes, he's in there all the time. We give him another drunk tank and then he comes in. Yeah. But I love to go to school board meeting and to swear in their people, and I love to stick my tongue out and make faces at him because he's facing the audience and has to act so professional. And I just want to tell one really quick story about Dr. Johnson. My husband had surgery. Dr. Johnson was a fabulous surgeon. I don't know what caused him to quit that, but we were down in St. George. Jack went in for surgery on the day that Simpson was found not guilty of murdering his wife. And I was in the waiting room. I guess I wasn't even thinking about Jack. Anyway. And I was so into what was going on when the jury had come out. And the nurse came and said, Dr. Johnson needs to talk to you. So she took me in this hallway, and he comes out of this room, and he has his garb on, you know, and his mask and the whole bit, and he has his hands like this, and there's blood and stuff all over him. He said, I just need to talk to you for a minute. And immediately I thought, is he dead? He goes, no, it's just worse than I thought. I just needed to talk. I go, oh my hell, Blaine, what are you doing? I lost one of my 9 lives, and I missed the Simpson thing. Anyway, I do want to tell you about Danny. Danny has, for the last year, a little over a year, he has been one of our county commissioners here, and unfortunately, he's been over my office, and so he has to come in and tell me what I'm doing right or wrong. And he's such a sweetheart, and he was so excited about the reunion and seeing all of you. He came in a couple of weeks ago, and he just was telling me what was going on in the meetings and how fun it was to sit around and visit and joke. And he was so excited to come and to see every single one of you. And he so loved our class. What I was told was that by Brenda, I slipped up to the house that morning because I received a call and I just didn't believe it because I had seen him just a couple of days before. One of his friends from Vietnam was here. He's from another state. He comes here regularly and stays with he and Brenda. And he had been in a meeting for the county commission the day before, and it was a real stressful meeting. And Brenda said he came home that night and said, I'm just exhausted and every part of me hurts. My legs are aching. I'm just feeling really rotten. And so they decided to go to bed early. She said she checked on him a couple of times in the night and he was just fine. Got up in the morning and she says, you don't have to take, whatever the friend's name was, you don't have to take him fishing today. You guys just need to stay close to home and kind of rest. And he says, no, I feel great. I'm doing really good. I'm going to get the boat. I'm going to load everything. And so, of course, knowing Danny, he let the guy sit on the grass, and he probably did all of it. They got up to Pingwidge Lake. I'm not clear if they had the boat all the way in the water, but they were preparing to do that. And he just said, oh, I feel horrible. I'm just so sick all of a sudden. It's just hit me. We need to head for home right now. We've just got to go as fast as we can go. And he slumped over and was gone. I'm on call 24/7, sorry. So anyway, and I don't know how to turn my phone off.
Just throw it.
And so he was gone. And Brenda is just absolutely devastated. And what a sweet man. And this county is not going to be the same without him. Anything else, Susan? Any other bossy things you want to tell me to do?
I made it.
He's here. Dr. Johnson did a fantastic job. He is amazing. He didn't wash his hands before he came out to talk to me. But he's an amazing surgeon, and I don't understand that. And I have not had a chance to talk to him about why he quit doing that, because he just is a fantastic surgeon. Anyway, I appreciate seeing all of you. I love to do this. It's a great opportunity. I also talked to some of our classmates that live here in Cedar. I don't know what their problem is, because this is the funnest Saturday morning I've had in an awful long time. Thank you.
Please.
I've already done mine.
I know, you're good. As a committee, we wanted to thank Gordon for his excellent work and all that he's done for us, for the whole class and making this come together. So, thanks, Gordon.
You know, it really, my life is extremely busy, but this took precedence for the last year anyway. It's been a labor of love. You know, it's been so much fun to call and talk to you. My goal was I was going to find where everybody in our class was, and we came within 14. So,
good job, Gordon. I'm Mark Nelson. We live here in Cedar City, have an insurance business. I've got 4 kids and 12 grandkids, and we love them. They're great.
I'm Rick Perry. Don't get me confused with Stan. People are good friends. I'm the PE side of things, but it's great to be here. I enjoy all of you. I look forward to these reunions. When I graduated from SUSC in '72 and went on to graduate school, and in the process got married to Lori Sanderson Hurricane. We've lived in a lot of places and have enjoyed all of them. But a year and a half ago, we retired. I worked for 38 years for LDS Family Services, and we moved to Cedar City. And it's been a great move for us, and we've really enjoyed being here and participating in a lot of activities, running into some of you. And my wife said, well, if we go to Walmart to get cheap groceries, but you go to Lynn's to meet people. And that's kind of how it's worked out for us. But, and we do change over time. My wife and I teach strengthening marriage classes here in Cedar City with LDS Family Services. And in the first session, she said, well, the main thing that attracted me to her was my blonde curly hair. So, but it's great to be here and enjoy the time. Thank you.
I'm Sheila Hayborn, and I left Cedar City when I was 19. I've lived in California, I've lived in Arizona, I've lived in Colorado, I've lived in Wyoming, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in Iowa, and I'm living in Las Vegas right now. So this is the first time that I've had a chance to see all of you guys. I've seen Judy when I've come back, and I really, really wish that I had to come back, that I would have come back for the other reunions. You guys turned out awesome, and I realized how much I really miss you guys. I have 5 children. I have 4 daughters, and then I had a son. And for almost a year, it was the girls and the boy were going to go do something. My son turned out to be extremely spoiled, and I have 12 grandchildren, and I love them dearly. I am living in Las Vegas with my oldest daughter, and I'm very proud of her. She is a professor at CSN. My mom is still alive. My father passed away 11 years ago, and she's still very active. And the funnest thing that I'm having today is I know too much about Brian Wood, L.J. Benson, Donnie, and Gary, and it's like, wait a minute here. you guys were really, really rotten when you were in high school and junior high. And somehow or another, you made it past and nobody was arrested. So anyway, I'm glad to be here. I am so glad that Gordon put all of this together. And
how did you include me in that?
Which part? The part that you didn't get caught and go to jail? And the fact that Fred didn't end up on the other side of the law really, really shocks me.
Well, he did.
Is that what, I mean, well, maybe he got caught and they put him in one of those protection plans, you know, where they sent him out to bring out the bad guys.
Dissimilar.
But thank you, Gordon and everybody, and Rick and everybody that put this together. And this has been really a wonderful day. Thank you.
Dennis, I didn't realize all those years you were looking down on me because I thought I was looking down on you. Well, I'm Stan Perry, and by the way, Donnie, I gained 5 pounds too. But it was 5 pounds every year for 20 years. And, you probably don't remember, I was 6'3", 163 pounds when I was in high school, so some things do change, maybe not for the better. But at any rate, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I've been there for, gosh, Dennis spoke for so long, I forgot what I was going to say. We have 5 children and 7 grandchildren, and I've had the great blessing of marrying a wonderful person, and I very much appreciate her, and I appreciate all of you. And as I've spoke with you, I remember John Meisel playing in the ditch together with me, and we made some really nice mud castles, John, and I appreciate that, and I'll never forget it.
Is this your senior year you did that?
No, they were the zucchini boats.
If you want to get going, I've got some better stories about you. So. Thank you, everybody. It's been great being here.
Well, they made fun of me last time for the way I used to walk and talk. I'm Stephanie Bess Cartwright, and Elaine wanted to know if I was still married to Burke, and when I said yes, her jaw dropped. Now, I don't know what that means, but I have 2 children, Ash and Sam, and a month ago tomorrow, they both had a baby on the same day, within 4 hours of each other. So I've been kind of busy this last month. I have 4 grandchildren in the last 3 years. I'm a school teacher, so I know how to say my words really loud. I've had a great life. Carolyn and I live from here to that wall away from each other and have remained really good friends. And about 5 years ago, Lori talked us into having a mini reunion. And so Lori Lay, Carolyn Lay, Stephanie Bess, Judy Vandenberg, Jan Jones, we have been meeting once a year at each other's homes, and it's amazing. Nothing's changed. We're exactly the same people we were, how many years ago now? 25? Isn't this our 25th reunion? And I've just had a really great life, and I'm so glad that I get to come back to Cedar. My dad is still alive, so I come, but you know, there's not very many of us still living in Cedar City. I hardly ever see a face when I come here, and I miss the good old days. But I'm really bad. I don't know very many of you guys. You must have gotten old. Thanks. I feel certain that every one of you forgot that I was double promoted 10 times. So, facing 53 is going to be rough. But something like that. But anyway, I moved to Salt Lake after leaving Cedar City and proceeded to work for public and independent schools as a school administrator in special education.
at a private practice and did some interesting things. I have 2 daughters, 3 grandchildren that are all just beautiful and great fun. And I know these people that I've talked to recently, at least for sure the last 4 or 5 years, I live by a motto.
Joe.
If you ain't burning gas, you ain't having fun.
I don't know what to tell you.
I'm slow. I'm Susan Mitchell Adams. Contrary to what Danny Walker told me and Lenny Olafson, I want to set this record straight right now. Even though all my friends drank in high school, I never partook.
You didn't inhale? Oh, you're good.
I always...
You didn't inhale at all?
No. I was always the designated driver.
Me too.
But like Danny pointed out, you know, whoever you hang out with, you know, so. Anyway, my vices came after I graduated, but I've been married to Jay Adams for 45 years, and I count myself very lucky that he's put up with me for that long, because he was awesome. We have 6 children, 15 grandchildren, with the number 16 being born on Monday. One child that's unmarried. I'm really lucky to have all my kids live here, except for one. She lives in Draper. The rest live around me, so I get to see all my grandkids all the time. I don't work anymore. I retired, and I'm a genealogy addict. And I found out, I can't believe how many people that I'm related to. We lived in New Mexico for 3 years in the 80s, and
you take over.
Where's Mr. Pickering at? Keith. I found out that Keith lived there the same time I did, and I think he was in the same ward and everything, and we just never crossed paths, so that's kind of strange.
You gotta go to church. Yeah.
Me or him?
You didn't drink in high school.
But she also didn't go to church.
Yes, I did. Lenny, I feel bad that you live where you live, because I was just really, really disappointed in Phoenix. I went down there, you know, and I love the heat, but we drove through downtown Phoenix, and I thought, what's the big deal about Phoenix?
I'm not going to.
It's just like go from really nice to really scummy, and it's kind of scary. So apparently you must live in the suburbs or something. Anyway, my husband still works. He's a land surveyor. But we have our best thing is we have a cabin on Cedar Mountain. In Crystal, it's sort of towards Kolob, but you take the other turn. Anyway, we have cows as an expensive hobby, and we just keep busy. So, does anybody, I was going to tell on somebody that said something that was not true. I don't remember what it was. I don't have mind.
I think it was that you don't drink, yeah.
That is not true. I do not. Anyway, anybody have any questions? And I think that whoever gets up here next time, they should ask that, because I've had a few questions that, like, you didn't say that your wife was a Morris.
Should I have done?
Well, yeah, the
Well,
principal's
why?
daughter, we had a lot of principals.
I told her she was the principal. I mean, wasn't that enough? Don't you remember who your principal
I believe
was?
the last one. It's good to got to come up here. My name is Terry Ramro. It's great to be here to see you. I've been to many of these class reunions over the years. Maybe it's the third one I think is all I've ever been to. And it was great to come here and see everyone and remember faces. I went down and read all the names down the list. And I thought, oh, I recognize those names, but definitely didn't recognize the faces. just a few people. A few of you haven't changed too much at all. Some of us have really changed, like maybe no hair or anything like that. But it's great. After high school, I went to college here. and up to Utah State. Worked for the state in Salt Lake for 33 years, lived up there, and decided to come back down here and spend the last couple of years when my mom's still alive. I had an opportunity to come down here and work in the crime laboratory at the university, so that's what I'm still doing. Hopefully get to retire one of these days, and I'm hoping to be able to do that. And not have to be the beck and calls of the courts and all those things and more. Met my wife working up at Cedar Breaks, and we've been married a long time. How long? 40 years. We've been married a long time. So long I've forgotten how long it was. But then we have 3 children, 11 grandchildren. Unfortunately, all of our kids live out of this area, not here, and that's kind of a problem for us to do that. Like our kids and like our grandkids, and like to see them. It's really great to see all of you here. You know, I thought I'd move back to Cedarson and I'd be able to see people that I actually knew. And sometimes someone will walk up to me and say, "Hey Terry, how you doing?" Who are you? And how hard is I haven't seen very many people, so I guess there's really not a lot of us live here, just a few of us. So I live out in the wind tunnel out in the valley. I had to find a place big enough where I could have my horses next door and everything like that. So we enjoy it here. It's a lovely place to live, and I'm grateful that I came today. Thank you.
The camera didn't work, so can we do that again? We've gone way over the time we expected to. I know some of you wanted to go to the Southern Utah game. They're holding it. They're starting to. We were taking.
There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Empty chairs at empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone. Here they talked of revolution. Here it was they lit the flame. Here they sang about tomorrow, and tomorrow never came. From the table in the corner, they could see a world reborn, and they rose with voices ringing. I can hear them now, the very words that they had sung became their last communion on the lonely barricade at dawn. Oh, my friends, forgive me that I live and you are gone. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Phantom faces at the window, phantom shadows on the floor, empty chairs at empty tables where my friends will meet no more. Oh, my friends, don't ask me what your sacrifice was for. Empty chairs at empty tables where my friends will meet